right, Tony, let's do this. Let's look back on what was a good night of boxing, right? It was good to see the O2 Arena packed once again. It's been a long time. I think you were the last person to pack it out when you fought David Haye. It's been a long time since we've seen 20,000 packed in there. And they all came to see the big man, Anthony Joshua versus Jermaine Franklin. You only look at the scorecards, it was pretty much a shutout. You could have given Franklin a couple of rounds. But let's be honest, going into the fight, a lot of people predicted a knockout for AJ. Because it went the full distance, what are your thoughts in the aftermath? Is it disappointment? Is it good that he got the W, first win since 2020? What are your thoughts?
100% first and foremost, the most important thing is, Ade, that a fighter wins. Secondly, yes, I'm not going to lie, there's no point in dressing up any other way. It is about the performance. But I will say there's a lot to like, but there's still a fair bit to worry about. So the lack of killer instinct and the willingness to put the foot on the gas when the times are right was a little bit, I wouldn't say worrying, that's the wrong word, because I would say worrying, Ade, but I know for a 100% fact, had Jermaine Franklin put it back on Anthony Joshua and really gone to knock him out, then you'd have seen AJ catch fire. You'd have seen him really put it on him. But when he was winning as easily and was landing the jab as frequently as he could, he didn't feel any threat. And speaking to him in the changing rooms afterwards, he was like, Tom, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I said, well, I could see he countered you in the fourth round with the right hand. And it just made you think twice. He said, you know what? He said, he's a sneaky counter puncher. I said, yeah, he is. I said, especially when you don't see it coming. And we talk quite a bit, and we back and forth on each other's opinions. But overall, Ade, he is disappointed. There's no two ways about it. Of course he's disappointed, but I'm definitely sure he's happy. He also got 12 rounds in under a new trainer, one that it's going to take time to build up a level of trust between the two, because when Derek James in the corner for the last 2 rounds saying, I need you to put combinations together, I need you to start letting your hands go, he was second guessing himself. And that's because you're coming off 2 losses. That's because you've got so many demons in your mind. Can I still do it? Have I still got it? Anthony Joshua is questioning Anthony Joshua, and this is all happening in front of millions of people watching, in front of thousands of people in an arena. You are actually questioning yourself in your own mind, and it takes to get the W back, to get through them moments, and he's got there, so I'm happy for him.
AJ came in the heaviest we've ever seen him, right? What was it, 18-3, close to 18-4. A lot of people saw his physique and said, okay, this man is built for destruction. That he's clearly going for the knockout, whereas Franklin came in a lot lighter, so hence why he was fast on his feet, fast with his hands. Because he was built for destruction and didn't get the knockout, is it almost a positive to say, okay, at least he went the full 12 rounds, that we didn't see AJ gas out? I thought in the middle rounds he was holding something back because of that, but that's one positive, right? To say, okay, he went the full distance, even though he was a lot heavier than we've normally seen him.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. But you look at this fight, and I compared it very much to the Joseph Parker fight. It's a fight where the opponent comes and he just does not want to get knocked out, Ade. He just doesn't want to get knocked out. And Jermaine Franklin should be, well, you know what? He will be kicking himself today, and he will be kicking himself for a while, because he'll be thinking, why didn't I just give it all I've got? Because then at least I know if I could have won or I couldn't have. When you give something everything you've got, you have no regrets. Even if you lose, Ade, even if you get knocked out, you know, I've give everything I had. He's sitting there now thinking, I could have just given that more of a go. I could have tested him. I could have really went for him, put my foot on the gas. But he'll never know that now, and he'll regret that for the rest of his life.
You know, sorry, go on, son.
There's a flip side to that coin, Ade. Had he have given himself and really opened up, then he could have got done in 3 rounds, because I think he felt something in the 3rd round. He felt a sharp right hand, because AJ weren't committing to the right hand in the first 2 rounds. It was only the 3rd round. Franklin was lazy with a jab, and AJ, boom, right hand straight through the gap. And it made Jermaine Franklin ultra aware of the danger that was in front of him. I don't think he'd seen speed like that before in that division. It's one thing fighting Dillian White and being roughed up and taking the odd body shot here and there, but it's another thing facing pure, unadulterated speed. He's lightning AJ. He's one of the quickest heavyweights in the world with his hand speed, and it caught Jermaine Franklin by surprise. And I just think, I don't want to say he froze, because he didn't. He was slick at times in the fight. He was clever. He was really good in little patches, but he just didn't take his opportunity, Ade.
I remember years ago watching Vladimir Klitschko fight Samuel Peter. Nigerian Nightmare. And
I remember him.
Vladimir got put down a couple of times in that fight.
Heavy right hands.
Yeah. And after that fight, Vladimir completely changed his style, right? Completely changed it. Cautious first. Won all these fights and became an all-time great heavyweight, but we saw a different Vladimir Klitschko. Is this now a different AJ? Do people need to kind of change their thoughts on the early AJ, destructive, knocking people out, to this AJ, still winning the fights, but maybe a bit more cautious and maybe using the jab more than the right hand?
No, I don't think so at all. I think what this, I mean, do you see when you're talking about Vladimir Klitschko, the actual change in Vladimir Klitschko came from the Lamont Brewster fight.
Yeah.
And he started from there, because when he lost to Lamont Brewster, and in the fashion that he did, it completely made him revert styles and just go ultra negative and ultra safety first. He was quite adventurous before the Brewster fight. With AJ, I see what you're getting at, and I think he was very adventurous up until I think he faced Klitschko. I think he was super adventurous and he was vicious. The Klitschko fight was a wake-up call, even though he gets the win. And then the Andy Ruiz fight is where he starts going, right, you know what, I've got to be wary of my gas tank and opening up, when I open up, how I deliver. And in some ways, I think he's overthinking it. I think he just needs to get back to thinking, right, I'm going to hit you and get rid of you. But it's far easier said than done. When you've had the episodes that he's had in his career, the Ruiz fight, the Usyk fight. The Usyk fights are nothing to do with gassing and nothing to do, it's just you've come across a pound-for-pound fighter who's legendary. With the Ruiz fight, there is genuine worry there of why he blew up or he gassed. But I definitely know there was the behind-the-scenes troubles going into the first Ruiz fight. I'm not making excuses for him, because he doesn't make excuses for himself. But we seen little glimpses of it in the Kubrat-Pulev fight. He had a patch where he tried to get rid of Pulev and then he gassed for 2 rounds and then he got a second win and he went again. So I think we will see going forward, and Anthony Joshua is a little bit more conservative when he's allowed to be. This is the big point I'm getting to now. When he's allowed to be conservative, I think he will. But believe you me, if he goes in the ring against Dillian White, do you think for a minute he's going to be conservative? Do you think for a minute he's going to just put him on a jab? Believe you me, he will meet anyone who puts it on him head on. And the same that I will say that much, whether it goes for Tyson Fury, whether it goes for Deontay Wilder, whether it goes for Dillian White, anyone who puts it on AJ, he ain't crawling up and being conservative with his punches. He's firing back. He's an animal when he wants to be. But if he's allowed to overthink things and given time to dictate the pace, then I think he's trying to box towards a game plan and yes, be conservative like you're saying.
You mentioned Dillian White a couple of times there, Tony. He obviously was working with you on the studio. We've seen him fight Jermaine Franklin recently. He's fought AJ before, and has AJ called it a roadman fight? Is that the obvious fight to make next in the summer? AJ said he's going to fight. I saw AJ's Instagram post saying, I'll see you guys in 12 weeks. So he's telling us he's back out in 3 months' time. Is that the obvious fight to go into next, Dillian White?
I don't see why not. I think it's a big domestic grudge match. But I'm not going to lie, I think AJ's in a no-win position when he goes into that fight. Can't win. So unless he blows him away in 2 rounds, which is very, very hard to do, because Dillian White's a problem for anyone in the world apart from bloody Tyson Fury, because in hindsight, and as I saw Dillian on Saturday night, he kind of froze on that night, on his biggest night. And it happens, Ade, when a big man like him is in front of you, you'd expect him to be easy to hit, and guess what, all of a sudden he's a problem. You can't get near him, you can't land jabs on his body or head like you'd envisioned. For AJ now, if he takes on Dillian, it would take a brutal, ruthless display for him to come out on the... It would take a brutal and ruthless display for him to come out shining.
Yeah.
I think the next fight, what they will try and make, believe it or not, I think will be Tyson Fury. Well, I already know that the Fury camp have been onto them.
Interesting. Okay.
As soon as the bell went Saturday, they were onto AJ's team, and there'll be dialogue now between Eddie and George and AJ's team and management and all. There's so many things to figure out, but the path is clear now for both, because let's be totally honest, Tyson Fury doesn't want to face Alexander Usyk.
You know, I spoke to Derek James straight after, and I kind of put that question to him as well. I said, would you want the Tyson Fury fight next? And he basically pointed at AJ and says, whatever he wants to do. Yeah, whatever AJ wants to do, I'll do. But Derek James surely has some sort of input into AJ's next fight. If you're Derek James, no, okay, you're shaking it. But if you're Derek James, do you think Derek James would want a couple more fight camps to get AJ ready for a Fury?
Well, if you've seen Derek James, and I think he's a brilliant coach, by the way,
Yeah.
and I think it's fantastic that he's had fight experience, he knows the game. All of AJ's coaches so far have had fight experience. Robert Garcia, the brilliant Robert McCracken, and now, you know, the fantastic Jerry James, have all been former fighters, and they've all made it very clear that, well, I suppose Rob had a little bit of input, a lot of input with the fights, but the last two haven't. And when Derek James said, when he was asked the question, who do you feel coming, what his response was, I want the best for him, for whoever he wants. So a lot rests on AJ shoulders. He's always been the boss, Ade. He's always given the green light, and the boy just fights anyone, Ade. So I'm not sure who'll make the final. Well, I do know who'll make the final call. AJ will make the final call. He will make the final call on who he fights next. And Derek James, as the hired gun, which is what he is right now, will be the man in control of the camp. And let me just tell you first and foremost, I've been out there to Dallas, I've watched him train. Derek James is in full, complete control of that camp. He is the man calling the shots. He is the guy dictating the training regime, the path, everything about it. It's a proper outfit, and he's a proper good coach, because he's taking complete control, and he ain't passing the buck anywhere. You know, he's telling you, I want you doing this on this selector, I want you doing this many rounds here. He's not a coach who comes in and goes, right, I'm just going to do a bit of boxing work with you. Now go and do your strength work and fitness work somewhere else. He's hands-on. He's getting his fighter fit, he's getting his fighter ready, and he makes a lot of different calls.
A final one on this, Tony. You spoke to AJ after, and he did say he was disappointed in the performance. I spoke to him as well, and look, he's happy he got the W, but he was looking for the knockout. As a fighter, you know if you're ready for the opponents they're putting in front of you, right? Do you think AJ mentally believes he's ready for Tyson Fury?
Good question. I'm not sure. Not going to lie. There's no point in dressing it up any other way. Yeah. I'm not sure. And Josh will, if he was being brutally honest, he'd probably say the same. He'd say, I don't know. I need to get in there and just face him. Yeah. I think he's past getting to the point where he goes, no, I'm going to knock you out, or I'm the best heavyweight in the world. I believe he just wants to fight. And do you know what, Ade? I think he's got a lot of questions in his own mind of, he wants to know how good he really is. And believe you me, he can be very good, because he has all the attributes, and he's learning on the job, and he's getting better. And this is crazy to say this, because I don't know how old he is now, 32, 33, whatever he is, Olympic gold medalist, former unified heavyweight champion of the world. But he is still learning, because he doesn't have the experience behind him. He's won an Olympic gold medal in a record number of fights. He's become a unified heavyweight champion in a record number of fights. Everything has been accentuated and speeded up because he's just been able to deliver, because his athleticism is on another level, and his boxing IQ is fast catching up to that athleticism level he's at. It's like his athleticism is here and his boxing IQ is here. But I'm telling you, it's going to keep going up and up and up. But it's just going to take a bit more time, and that's what I try and explain to people. Of a lot of fighters are in that boat today, because they haven't been ingrained in the fight game. They haven't been fighting since they were 12 years old. They've taken this game on a lot later in life. They've took an awful lot of risks, and they've done things differently, but ultimately they're playing catch up, and the athletic ability has got them to where they are so quickly, and deservedly so.
There was a bit of a skirmish at the end of the fight. It almost looked like AJ, you were part of it, Tone, but it looked like AJ and Franklin were just almost looked like they were hugging, and then it seemed to get a bit more than that.
There was nothing there.
Got involved as well. I saw you run ringside and have words with, I think it was the assistant trainer. It wasn't
the trainer, that was my point, Daddy. That was my point. It wasn't the trainer. So I had no problem with a trainer getting involved and saying, whoa, calm down, trying to split them up. But when the second guy is the trainer's friend, jumped up and then went towards AJ, I was like, whoa, you can't go for a man who's just been fighting for 12 rounds with boxing gloves on. What are you doing? And I said, hey, and I shouted, hey, what are you doing? You can't go for a fighter. So he said to me, I'll do what I want. Or he said something along them lines, what the F are you going to do? I said, really? Okay, let's do it. I'll show you. Don't talk, show me. No point in talking, just show me. So he jumped down, and I stepped to him, and lucky for him, things went the opposite way. But I don't want problems with anyone, Ade, but you cannot attack a fighter. I mean, we remember the scenes of Conor McGregor after Khabib chokes Conor McGregor out, and then you've got friends jumping over the cage attacking a fighter. This man's just been fighting for about 15 minutes. He's exhausted. You're attacking an exhausted fighter. What the? So I just didn't want to see something like that unfold. So I was like, bring him away from me, bring him away from AJ, and then, you know, if you're really that angry, bro, don't worry. There's people here that can match that anger. There really is.
There's a lot of former fighters and current fighters ringside that I'm sure would have jumped in if it got a bit heavy. But thank God we have the best security team in the business.
I'm good, bro. Honest to God, I don't need no one, Ade. I don't need no one's help. I don't need no.
I had your back, Tone. I was there. I had your back. I was right there, just behind Laura. It was Laura first, then me. But I was right there, Tone.
She's the toughest.
I was right there. But look, good win for Anthony Joshua regardless. As I said, his first win since December 2020 against Kubrat Pulev. It does stop that skid of 2 defeats to Usyk back-to-back. And the big man did say that, look, this is the first of 3 fights of the year. So hopefully we do see maybe a Dillian Whyte or even a Tyson Fury fight in the summer. And who knows, maybe we get the Wilder fight this year as well. But the first thing, and I think you said it best, Tony, he's got the W and AJ is back. New dawn, new chapter, hopefully new accolades for AJ this year as well.